Hey guys, today we're going to be working on the Miami trim. The Miami trim is such a fun poodle-y trim. It's the stereotypical bubbly, fun poodle look. This trim is great for warmer climates, you know, if you want to take the dog's body down so they stay a little cooler but still want to have some of that poodle flair. Today we're going to be doing a Miami trim with a mane. Again, you know, back to my other videos, the mane is always optional. You don't have to have it. If you were not leaving a mane, you would just, you know, take all this down the same length as the body. But today we're going to be leaving that for a little extra style and flair to the trim. And this is Bubbles. She is going to be our supermodel for today. So I'm starting with a freshly bathed, blown out dog, combed through, nails and ears are done, and my face, feet, and tail are clipped. You can refer to one of my other videos for instructions on that. And what I've done for you guys is I've already trimmed half of Bubbles here. So I'm just going to turn her around and show you guys the after. Come on, Bubs. Alright, so the hairy side is our before, and this is our after. So this is what we're going to be going for when we're done today, is this kind of a shape on the dog. And this is just a really nice, easy trim. This is a great one for people who are just starting out in the poodle world, because for the most part, you're just following the natural contours of the dog's body. But there are also ways to do this incorrectly, so I'm going to show you guys, you know, where to set the bracelets, where to set the base of the neck, you know, etc. So I'm going to turn Bubbles around here, and we're going to get started. Alright, I've already done her face, feet, and tail with a number 30 blade, in case you guys are wondering. Not too close, but enough that I can see her pigment and her expression, and for a nice clean finish. And on her body today, I'm going to be using a number 2 snap-on comb, which is this guy here. I'm using the Oster snap-on today. I also really like the Walls. There's also Andis available. And the number 2 is going to be your blue comb here, if you guys can see that. And, you know, with the Miami, there's all different variations. You can go shorter if you want to go really short. If you're, you know, in the heat of summer or a warmer climate, you could go with like a number 7F or a number 5F blade. You know, if you want them a little longer for the winter or like a fuller look, you could go with a number 1 comb, which will leave, you know, about an inch or 3/4 of an inch all over. The number 2 comb will leave just over a 1/2 inch all over. So, you know, we are in the winter season here, so I don't want to take her too short, but, you know, I want her tight enough that I have some separation between the legs and the bracelets so they stand out. If you leave the legs and the body too full, they kind of meld into the bracelets and you don't get a whole lot of definition down there going into those. So you want it tight enough that you do have some separation, you know, between the legs and the bracelets to get that look of the Miami. So what I'm going to do is start right up here under Bubbles' ear. I'm going to pull that forward and out of the way and start with my number 2 comb coming right on down here. And like I said, this is just such a nice easy trim for people who are just starting out, because you're basically just following the natural contours of the dog. You're just following the body, taking the chest right down, and I'm going to go right down into this front leg here, all going with the grain of the hair. Scoop right in between the front legs, get the chest all cleaned out real nice. And I'm just going to skim down the side of this neck, but again, leaving the back side of the neck because I do want to leave a mane on this girl. So I'm skimming down the side to get rid of some of that bulk. There we go. And I'm going to come back and blend the rest of this in later with my curve shears. Put her back in the grooming loop here. Now the base of the mane I want to set in just behind my withers. So the withers are the shoulder of the dog, which is right here. So what I want to do is start the base of the neck just past that. So I'm going to comb this back up here since I mashed it down a little bit. So I'm going to start just behind the withers. work my way on back with this number 2 comb. Okay, clean this up real good. Right down over the hip. And then coming at an angle down the rib cage here. And by going at an angle like this, you get less clipper lines as opposed to going straight across. And I'm just coming right down and skimming off into that tuck-up area. Down over the elbow. And then I like to pick up the front leg here and clean up the armpit area real good. That's a place a lot of groomers miss. And that's a spot that's going to get matted also, so you want to make sure you clean that up real good in there. Get all that hair out of there. Alright. When I do the belly of the dog, I like to lift the dog up like this and come right down the belly area here. And this gives you kind of a different view of things too. You can clean up your sides a little bit more and go down the inner thigh here, the inner leg muscle. All right, now I'm just going to pump her up a little bit here so we can work on these bracelets. So when I'm coming down her hind leg, I want to have the top of this back bracelet be about 2 fingers above the hock. So I feel where the hock is. All right, and then I'm going to measure 2 fingers above that. And that's where I'm going to want this line to stop, this clipper line. As you can see, Bubbles is pretty woolly here. She was way overdue for a haircut. The holiday season just passed, and she was definitely the hairdresser's kid. Alright, so I come down this hind leg, and I'm going to come around, doing the rest of the top of this bracelet at a slight, at about a 90-degree angle here, 45-degree angle, sorry. And by doing this, it gives the illusion of more angulation because the leg is coming down into that bracelet. So you don't want it to go straight across, you want it to be at a slight angle. I like to pick up the opposite leg to clean up the inside of each leg real good. There we go. Alright, so there we have our back bracelet. Now for the front, we want to set the top of the front bracelet to the highest point of the back bracelet, which would be the hock. So I'm going to measure across there when I set that front bracelet in. And that way they match up. You don't want to take the front bracelets down too low and give them a downhill look. And at the same time, you don't want to leave them too high because then you'll take away from the dog's leg. And you're going to have a lot more bracelet to deal with as far as scissoring. All right. So now that we've done that, I want to grab a small pair of curved shears and do my bevels. So I'm just going to clean off this table here a little so you guys can see what's going on. All right, and let's see here. So I like to do the back side of my bevels first. So I come from underneath and comb all this hair down around the pad of the foot. And I'm going to scissor this level with my clipper work. So where my clipper work stops, I want this bracelet to start coming out from there, right out from where it's been shaved. Same thing on the back bracelet. Comb it down around the foot, and scissor it nice and level there, coming right up from that clipper work. All right, then I'm going to do the front part of my bevels, combing down over the front of the foot and coming up and over with my small curved shears. Another technique you could also use is by just bringing your hand down and clamping down around the foot, the hair, and scissoring there, if you feel more comfortable doing it that way. Same thing on the back foot, comb that down and scissor around, creating the bevel. All right, here we go. All right, now I'm going to go to a longer pair of shears here. All right. Let's see here. This is an 8-inch pair of shears. And what I'm going to do is comb these bracelets up and out. And I'm going to take my curved shears and scissor at an upward angle all around this bracelet, leaving a little more on the hock because I want to leave some flare there for angulation. Then after I've gone all the way around doing the bottom of the bracelet, I let the foot rest down and trim up the top part, taking it all the way around. And these back ones are almost going to have more of a triangular look to them rather than an oval. And you just want to go over them a couple of times when you do this. So again, just recombing it up and out. And scissoring them around. Another thing that's great to use on the bracelets, especially if you have a softer coat, is a good pair of chunkers, which are these guys here. They're like big thinning shears. And these are great for just blending, getting a nice soft finish so you don't have any lines on the dog. And you can just go over and do your finish work with these. And that does a great job there as well. With the front bracelet, I'm going to take her, hold her front paw like so, and comb all this hair up and out. Give it a little shake, and then using my 8-inch curved shears, I'm going to start rounding this front bracelet. And I wouldn't say it's a perfect round circle. You're actually going for more of an egg shape, which is actually going to give the dog more height by doing that. It's going to elongate the leg. again, I just like to go over each bracelet a couple of times, comb through it, make sure I have all the stray hairs, give it a little shake, and then you can let her put it down, go all around. And that way you're going around the dog three-dimensionally, so you can see anything that's sticking out on different sides and different views. So I check from all different angles and make sure this is nice and rounded all the way around the bracelet. Again, using my chunkers just to neaten it up at the very end, give it a little finish. Stay close. Alright, so there we have the body and the bracelets done. Next we're going to move on to the tail. Alright, so for the tail on this girl, you want to make sure it's all nice and combed through. Make sure you have any tangles out. Alright, and what I'm going to do is slide my hand up to the tip here and just scissor off the very top of this. Okay. And then I'm going to take my comb and comb this all up and out. And once again, just giving it a little shake here. All right. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to hold the tip of the tail and scissor around the base, creating a bevel, just like I'm beveling the foot. Okay. And I want to go all the way around here. Creating that bevel. On the base of the tail here, I'm going to just even up my clipper line with the clipper combed area so it comes together. Go over that. Alright, so then what I want to do after I've done the top of the tail and the base of the tail is I want to make it all come together. So I'm going to take my curve shears and just round the entire tail. Once again, making more of an egg shape than a perfectly round pom-pom. If you have a shorter tail, you're going to find that you get, a more rounded pom-pom, and that's okay. And then if you have a long tail, maybe an undocked tail, you're probably going to get more of a feather duster. To compensate, you could bring the clipper line up a little bit more and try to shorten it up, but there's really only so far up you can go. But I would bring it up just a little bit more just to try to shorten the length of the actual pom-pom on the tail. Alright, so that's nice and rounded up there now. And depending on how big you want the tail, you could leave it fuller, you could take it in tighter. You want it to be balanced though, so if you're going to leave it really full, I would make sure that you have fuller ears on the dog, maybe a bigger top knot, because you don't want to have, tight ears, tight top knot, and then this giant full tail. So make sure everything's balanced out. And then again, using my chunkers to go over this and even it out. Give it a nice finish. And if you have a softer tail, you could even use a little bit of spray in there just to give it some more body and some more volume, give it some lift. Some of the dogs have a little finer, softer coats and it tends to part in the middle. You could also spray it up layer by layer if it was very soft to get a nice full tail. And I'm going to hold it up here and just make sure that I have the front side here nice and rounded. All right, and there we have our finished tail. There you go, Bubs. All right, so now we are going to move on to the neck area and top knot. All right, so now we're going to work on the top knot and neck of the dog. One of the first things I like to do is hold the ear up and out of the way and comb this hair forward around my short shaved clipper line there of the neck and use my curved shears in reverse to even out that line. And then what we're going to do here is come right up the side of this neck. And I'm going to move you guys over here a little more so you can see. There we go. All right, so I'm going to take my curved shears in reverse and come up the base of this neck. Evening this all out. I'm going to come up behind the ear. And then I'm going to turn the shears the correct way and round it up into that neck. So this becomes a nice smooth line here now. Again, when we do behind the ear here with the curved shears in reverse, you want to come up over the top of the ear, creating the bevel. So I come around behind this ear and up over the top of the ear. Forward into the front of that top knot. All right. Combing down any excess hair that gets caught up in that ear. You don't want that to stay there and get matted later. All right, now I'm just going to move this grooming out of the way here. All right, so then for the front of the face, I want to create a visor over the eye. So I'm going to take my curved shears, holding them at an angle, and trim that right there. And then coming down along the clipper line, right into the front of that ear. And then you can bring this all together right here. So this is one smooth line up here, and then right up through there. Again, I like to double check everything, just comb this forward. Make sure you've got all the little stray hairs around the eye and the bevel area above the ear. All right, then I'm going to comb this all up and out here. And come right up over the top of the head and down into that neck. You can Grab the ears, give them a little shake too, to get that to lay naturally. After you've gone over with the scissors a couple of times, use your chunkers or your blenders just to get that final finish going. Okay. And then after I've gone up over the top of this head and down into the neck, I'm going to take my curved shears and put them in reverse and come down the back of this neck into my top line, just like that. And if you have a tall dog or a dog with a lot of neck, you may want to lower the table down just a little bit more so you can get more of a bird's eye view here. When doing these necks, you also might find that it's easier to do them with the dog on the ground. And that way you can stand over them and check both sides. And I'm going to come back down the back of the neck with the chunkers as well. You want to make sure that the dog's head is up and back as much as possible when you're doing this. And the reason for that being, if the dog's neck is extended too far forward, once you scissor it and put the dog's head back up, it's going to be all distorted and it's not going to look right. So you want to try to keep her in a stacked position with the head upright when you're doing this neckline. Whoop. Come on, kid. All right. Okay, so now that we've finished our top knot, last but not least, we want to bevel the ears. I have banded the front section of this ear to keep it out of her mouth and keep her from damaging it, you know, having her food or chewing on bones. So what I want to do is comb down this ear. You can hold this part up out of the way here. All right. And then we're going to do a rounded bevel with the curved shears, coming down like so. And then back up into that front section, that front banded section. All right, now you have a nice crisp line there, nice even bevel. It should be slightly rounded. And there you have it, easy peasy. All right, and here we have the finished Miami trim. Again, this is a super fun, easy to do trim that you can bang out pretty quick. A great trim for clients who want a little bit of you know, foo-foo and flair on the dog, but don't want all the maintenance and the upkeep. So this is a great trim for that. And she's ready for a night out on the town or a night hanging out on the couch. But this is a very functional trim too. It's easy to maintain. You know, it's not going to get matted like all that big leg hair and some of the bigger, fuller trims like the modern trim or the German trim. And I like this trim on the girls. I think it's very girly. It makes them look very pretty. This would be a front view of the trim. We can turn her around here so you guys can see. So this would be what it looks like from the front on the dog. Okay, here we go. And then we can turn her around and take a look at the back side here. So you can see what's going on there between the legs. And there you have it. Ready to go. Good girl. Very good. All done. All done. Yay, all done. Okay. She's been waiting for this. She's been on the table all day getting ready for this video, huh? Yes, you have. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.